Picture this: dawn mist lifting off a rice field, and a woman unrolling a length of silk. Ikat bands catch the air like morning light trapped in thread. You can almost hear the loom's soft clicks in the courtyard. How can a single length of cloth hold centuries of memory and names that are no longer spoken?
Listen closely. What this reveals is not only craft, but a way of keeping time. The pattern, the dye, the tiny irregularities, they're traces of choices made by hands across generations. The layers matter.
Welcome back to Ancient Echoes. I'm Sam Nang Bradley. Glad you're with us this morning.
Really glad to be here.
Today, we follow the full life of Khmer silk, from mulberry leaves to the finished sampad. We'll talk Khmer silk weaving, Cambodian textiles, and ikat traditions, so you can hear what cloth does inside a community.
Anthropologically speaking, textiles are portable memory. They travel when people move, and sometimes they outlast other records. In Cambodia, silk sits at the crossroads of trade, ritual, and daily life. The evidence shows us river routes, market exchanges, and ceremonial usage stretching back centuries.
Right. But let's begin at the beginning. Mulberry trees and silkworms. People picture silk as an instant marvel, but it starts in a small garden. Mulberry leaves change the worm's diet, which changes the thread's sheen and strength. Those gardening choices ripple all the way into the pattern you see on a finished sampad.
Wait, could you say more about how households share that work?
Absolutely. It's often taught in kitchens and under eaves, as gestures and routines more than formal lessons. A mother shows a daughter how to prune, how to time the harvest, which leaves to feed first. Those are embodied lessons. They're not in a textbook.
That transmission matters because it shapes livelihoods. Women often carry this knowledge: gardening, rearing silkworms, spinning. This isn't romantic folklore. It is labor. The cultural significance is that production and daily life are braided together.
Exactly. From cocoons comes hand-spun thread. The spindle's turn has a rhythm you can imagine, a small song. Then dyeing, natural pigments from roots and bark, later complemented by aniline dyes brought through trade. The ikat resist dye process ties pattern to time. The warp is bound and dyed in sections, so the design exists in the threads before the cloth is woven.
Let's unpack that. Ikat is more than a technical trick. Certain motifs map to regions. An edge might signal Teco province, another motif a family lineage. The pattern language works like a social map: who you are, where you're from, sometimes your role in the community.
Right. And in ceremonies, those marks carry obligations. A bride's sampat, a garment for a rite of passage. Choices about weave and color bind present moments to ancestors. The cloth is a participant in memory. It speaks at weddings, births, and in everyday folding and wearing.
We must also name the gendered aspect. Women are often central, not just makers, but knowledge holders. Economically, that labor is frequently undervalued. So when revival programs arrive, the question is who controls production and benefits. The research tells us we should listen to communities first.
People like to say markets save traditions, but that's a half-truth.
Not always, and sometimes not even close.
Exactly. Markets can provide income, but they can also demand speed and alter motifs to appeal to tourists. So how do we balance revival with respect? One clear route is community-led cooperatives, where local people set terms, keep design authority, and share profits transparently.
The evidence supports that. Cooperatives, museum partnerships that defer authority to communities, and locally managed archives help preserve meaning. Standardization can protect workers if it sets fair wages and safety standards, but if it flattens design and erases local decisions, it becomes extractive. That's the nuance we must hold.
Let's get tactile for a moment. The backstrap loom. The weaver's body literally steadies the warp. Their posture becomes part of the cloth.
You can read a textile almost like a breath. Long runs where the maker was steady, tiny shifts where they adjusted for a child's cry or a neighbor's visit.
Exactly. Those variations are signatures, not mistakes. That's foundational to understanding craft as communal grammar and personal voice.
A quick practical point for listeners who want to support weavers responsibly. Favor cooperatives and groups that publish their labor practices. Ask about provenance and pair purchases with learning. Watch videos of dye baths and loom setups before you buy. If you're traveling, ask permission before photographing and buy directly when possible.
And think about time. Hand-woven silk is slow work. A hand-woven sampat often takes between 3 days and 3 weeks to complete, depending on pattern complexity. If a piece seems unusually cheap, ask why. The tradition teaches us to value time as much as product.
For concrete places to start, look at Cambodian living arts community craft programs, community cooperatives in provinces like Pursat and Takeo, and textile digitization initiatives at the Royal University of Phnom Penh. These are the sorts of groups publishing process and provenance. Start there and follow the threads of who controls the archive.
And for reading, seek ethnographies and community-authored accounts that center Khmer voices. Museum catalogs that include community annotation are especially useful. The deeper story is preserved when texts and textiles travel together.
Before we close, imagine a child tracing the fold of an old sampat and asking, "Who made this?" The answer opens into a village. A gardener who planted mulberry, a grandmother who taught ikat knots, and a line of practices that hold family memory. That chain is why cloth matters.
The cultural significance isn't only in the object. It lies in relationships, how skills are transmitted, how economic arrangements are structured, and whether communities keep decision-making power. Consider that when you read museum labels or shop online.
If you have a family textile or a question about a pattern, share a photo with us on social media and tell its story. We'll highlight a few in upcoming episodes and on the channel. Small acts of sharing help rebuild communal memory across distances.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes. We hope these stories helped you see Cambodian history and culture in a deeper, more human way. The cultural significance is not just in the object, but in the conversations it opens.
The echoes of the past live on in people's voices, memories, and everyday lives. Thank you for listening and for making space for these stories. If this episode resonated, follow Ancient Echoes on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loves craft and history.
If you'd like to support weavers responsibly, look for cooperatives that publish pricing and labor practices, prefer hand-woven pieces over mass-produced imitations, and approach museum or archive materials with curiosity and consent. Until next time, let's unlock the echoes of history together.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair, on my sight this way. Sacred power, Swahili, mighty spirit awakened. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, oh teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred power, Swahili.